Dusty in the news this week. The 40th anniversary of Dusty's very famous Hard Times interview, which really cemented Dusty as a global star. You know, Dusty Rhodes, who started competing in the wrestling ring in 1967, had a very famous run with Dirty Dick Murdoch as the Texas Outlaws, and man, oh man, Dusty Rhodes was running Florida. Forget that. That didn't help establish him as somebody that could be a traveling talent. Competing against superstar Billy Graham in Madison Square Garden, competing in Japan, already booking Jim Crockett Promotions at that point, coming up with Starrcade, being a man that was often imitated, never duplicated, if you will. But yeah, the Hard Times promo that isn't even in the top 10 of Dusty Rhodes' best promos ever. As great as it is, that established him as a global star. Michael Cole is a fucking goddamn idiot. He's a terrible wrestling historian, and he's a terrible commentator. I'm John Renton with my review of WWE Saturday Night Main Event from the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. So yeah, I'm back reviewing these shows, at least for now. I'm probably going to review Cena's last match and then figure out what I'm going to do next year. I'll actually do a channel update video to basically discuss what I'll be doing in 2026 and beyond. So, I would have reviewed this at its normal time, but I was covering a shift and decided to still watch it. And you know what? It was certainly a show that existed. No Jesse Ventura. I really think they realized, maybe having Jesse Ventura on the show, not the best idea. By the way, the Delta Center holds around 20,000 people, and they had about 8,000, maybe 8,500, not sure. So, the new intro with the, with the talents getting ready, training, that kind of stuff, and the kids gathered around the TV. We get the pyro and the old theme. And Cody gets a nice pop, and Cody gets a good sing-along, and Drew got some boos, some Drews, as it were. And it's Cody versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. If Cody gets counted out or disqualified, he loses the championship. They just wanted to give, any little crumb of a possibility of Drew McIntyre winning the WWE title, which he wasn't going to. But nevertheless, look, 12 minutes in, the bell rings, and now these shows aren't even on NBC. They're just on the cock. So, look, there were parts of this match that weren't bad, because Drew's a good talent. Cody is a good in-ring talent. I still don't think that Cody's as great as people say he is, but that's just me. Drew kept egging Cody on. He bit Cody's forehead while the referee was, out of position, even though he should have been able to see the large Scottish man, biting into a man's forehead. The ref got inadvertently shoved, no DQ. There was a split crowd, by the way, and split crowd actually is kind of the theme of this and the closing match. A nice superplex to Drew, a nice cutter for two. The thing is they went to the well one too many times with the title. The title got introduced, and then Cody's like, nope, not going to use it, and then a snap Claymore, but just for two. Cody then got sent through the announcer's table. Nice spot, good stuff. He manages to just get in just in time. Drew missed the Claymore. Ref got in the way, and Cody's knee buckled. I really am thinking that he's just selling. I hope he's selling. I don't know how else he would have jammed his knee. But we got a cutter because Cody hit a Hail Mary, and even though he's selling his leg, I think he's all right. And we get a ref bump, so the referee's down, and then we get a headbutt, and the title get introduced again, but then we got a DDT on the title, and Cody threw away the evidence and hit the Crossroads 1, 2, 3. That was about an 18-minute match that probably could have been accomplished in about 13. But it was what it was. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great. So recently, Jade returned and beat up Tiffany and is now going for revenge. Or Jade, who beat a hampered Tiffany for the WWE Women's Championship because Tiffany had a bad knee. And Jade, much better as a heel, tossed her around. There was a bit of a flurry with a senton, and Tiffany got a 2 count. But, yeah, Jay just threw her around with some fall-away slams, hit a sit-down powerbomb for 2, hit a couple more powerbombs, and hit Jade at 1, 2, 3. Moving on. Jade is champion. You know what? Have her go to Mania. Have Bianca beat her. And I actually think that you have something. Tiffany, no disrespect. Tiffany had it for close to 300 days. Maybe just over 300 days. I know she won it on the 3rd of January. So, she would be about 300 days. The whole point is that she did what she could. Did the title reign go too long? Sure, possibly. So, the Mania in Vegas ad. Look, I've kept up on a little bit of WWE. I just can't watch Raw and SmackDown constantly, or I barely can watch them. I'm usually busy on Mondays watching mystery movies or resting, and Fridays I'm often busy watching movies. In fact, I'll just say right now, if I review the Saturday Night's Main Event on January 24th, I will be amazed. So Dominic versus Rusev versus Penta for the IC title. Will Dominic be able to eke out a victory? Well, yes, otherwise this would have been rather pointless. He is also the AAA Mega Champion. And look, they've stuck with Dominic. He's gotten over. I can't fault him. Penta's still over. Rusev he was a beast here. He did some good stuff. I basically wrote down, this will come down to Dominic taking advantage of the fact that these two guys are beating each other up and tossing him around, and he's going to find a way to eke out a victory. Decent pace of this. Penta, I thought, hurt his knee. A lot of knee hurts on this whole thing. Knee hurts. Boy, that's great English and grammar, isn't it? So, Dominic tried to do the lie, cheat, and steal thing with the chair, but the referee's like, it's a three-way, it's no DQ. I mean, that's just what we accept as three-way rules, but nevertheless. So then they destroy her off of Rusev, a DDT to Rusev. So they're cooking. This is actually, I'd argue, the best match of the goddamn night. So Penta hit that driver on Rusev, and that was impressive. He got him up, and Rusev went up for it. But then a little bit later, the Accolade got locked on, and suddenly, ding, 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 oh my God, Penta gave up. No, Dominic had the bell hammer. He's been using the bell hammer lately. And he even got, tossed around a little bit. And then Penta tried to use a hammer on Dominic. He ducked. Rusev got hit. Penta got posted. Frog splash 1, 2, 3. And that's it. There you go. That's it. No more. No more for the IC title. No, I kid. There's rumors that Cena may win the IC title from Dominic and lose it in his last match, which would give Gunther, it's pretty much going to be Gunther, I think, unless he's just suddenly not going to be back. I believe he's going to be the one to win that 16-man tournament. And that's in Washington, D.C. on the 13th. Now, unless I have to work a different shift, I'll be watching that. I'm also saying right now to the disgraced, former chairman or the disgraced presidential idiot happen to show up on that show, that might actually be the last WWE review I do, because that's just going to be a slap in the face. There is no reason to do this. They're already going full on stupid. Triple H taking more, stuff in the White House and everything, because that's what we need. We need more people who don't know what the fuck they're doing in the goddamn White House. Yeah, so get ready for me to get pretty goddamn angry if stupid shit happens on that show. Jay makes his entrance to the crowd and he's all happy. Punk gets a big pop and a sing-along. And I don't know what the fuck happened with this match. Punk versus Jay for the vacant world championship. Look, I haven't talked about Seth Pheasant Rollins' injury. The diving headbutt spot was stupid. Because apparently he busted up his shoulder. He's out at least 6 months. Even if he tries to rush back and get back in time for Mania, that was the end of October? Or maybe the third week of October, whatever it was. Even if he somehow can manage to get back, what good's it gonna do? What good's it gonna do? He's already almost 40. He's beat up. He really only has this contract left. I'm not saying take him, and put him out to pasture, or, take him to the glue factory like he's a prize horse that has just, lost his value. I'm not saying old yeller him, but this is becoming an issue with WWE. It's becoming an issue with wrestling in general, the age of stars. I'm not saying just because of age, but it's also mileage and everything. That's an example in this match. But Seth, I hope, can recover. I hope he can come back, but that group really wasn't working out. I mean, I thought it would, but it wasn't working out. Punk versus Jay, vacant world title. And look, they had some spots where they were actually doing pretty well, but I don't know if Jay was tired. I don't know if Jay was pissed and just sandbagging Punk, because Punk is not a young man anymore and needs the right opponent to work with him. And Jay has the crowd on his side, but the crowd was pretty split. And they've been building this thing where it's like, okay, Jay is going to, finally snap, or Jay's had it because he's had a taste of the glory, but now it hasn't gone his way and everything. There's talks of turning the Usos heel, which, does anybody really want to see any of that happen? There was rumors that Jay might actually win, and they could have him versus Jimmy for the world title at Mania, and that would be monumentally fucking stupid because their Mania match was absolutely dreadful. Look, they were doing some stuff. There were way too many kickouts, though. There were. And I'm sorry, that neck breaker spot where Punk just legit looked so pissed and kicked Jay in the head. If that didn't kick some sense into goddamn Jay to actually try, I don't know what it is. I don't know what will. This was parts were good, but God, this match felt off. It just really felt off. And again, too many kickouts, too many, oh, I'll use your move, you use my move. And Jay did get the sleeper trap on there, and, the choke and everything, which I just don't buy it with him. I just don't. And he got locked in the vise, got to the ropes, and they did some, nice back and forth before that. But again, that neck breaker spot really put a hamper on it. And even before that, there were some issues. Like, I just don't know what was happening. So even with the closing moments of them trying to do stuff, we finally got 2 GTSs, 1, 2, 3. Punk is the new World Heavyweight Champion. Have him hold it till Mania. Have him drop it to Braun, Breaker, that is. And then you create another star. Punk gets his moment, and it is what it is. That's pretty much going to be my only WWE review for the month. I very much doubt I'm going to do War Games. If I can find a way to maybe, I don't know, get a day pass thing on Sling or whatever, if I feel like it, I might. But guys, it just... Wrestling is... It's either passed me by or I just do not get it anymore. Like, just... I can watch older stuff and get some enjoyment out of it. I did a retro review of Taboo Tuesday. There are just things about WWE that piss me off. There are things about AEW that piss me off. In fact, the only big event I may review next year would be Wrestle Kingdom, mainly for Tanahashi's retirement. So I'm sorry if you guys have been wanting me to do more, wrestling content and everything, but guys, I've been doing it for like 10 years. I've been going really hard since, myself and the Durbinator started doing, Raw and SmackDown reviews. And that was at the end of 2016. It has been 9 years, essentially, of doing this. I'm burned out. I'm burned the fuck out. I'm getting to 1 million views, and then I'll reassess what I'm going to do. But thank you guys very much for listening, dealing with all my shit. And I'm not leaving YouTube. I'm going to do some more stuff. And I'll talk about that in a, update video. But nevertheless, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentlin. And until we see not any sandbagging with CM Punk again, happy trails to you.